Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I promised lots of content during this international break, and I'm joined by one of my absolute favorite people to collab with. It's been a while. I think the last thing that we did together was our birthday stream, which was 3 months ago, which is
Yes.
absolutely mad. So I'm so freaking excited to have you back on my channel. Eunice, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again. And yeah, it was the birthday stream, which was amazing, by the way. But
That's one of my
yeah,
favorite videos we've ever done.
that was really cool. That was really cool. But yeah, I'm glad to be back on. Thank you.
Awesome. So, obviously, it's an international break. There's still
Yeah.
quite a bit to talk about. I feel this one has been a little bit more eventful than international breaks of the past. So I asked you guys here and on Instagram as well if you had any questions for us. So you did send in a couple. So we're gonna try to get through them. I feel like one of the main talking points of this international break is the contract situation with Chelsea's defenders.
Yeah.
So we know that Rudiger has kind of been going back and forth with the club. It seems that he wants to be on maybe the salary of a Lukaku, I don't know, Timo Havertz, maybe around that stratosphere, and the club isn't valuing that. And yeah, it seems like talks are kind of breaking down. He might leave the club. But what are your thoughts on this, Eunice?
I mean, yeah, I've spoken extensively on it the last couple of days, especially when I was with Matisse and Miz, and they did raise they rose a few points that I, to be honest, didn't think of, and it gave a different perspective, which was really, really helpful. There's two sides to the story here. There's the side of us as fans, where right now we regard him as one of the best centre backs in the world on form right now. He is hands down one of, and for me, the best central defender on the planet. Right? There's that. Tuchel likes him. He loves the setup. He loves the team. Everything's nice there. So we want him to stay, and we know he wants to stay, and that's cool. When you flip it, there is the sense of, or well, as well, he wants this. He wants to pay 200k. All of us will go, yeah, you know what? Give him 200k. He deserves it, right? But there is the other side of, not that long ago, he was having those issues where it was Lampard, the club, Matt Law. He felt undervalued. To be honest, even as fans, all of us at that time, if you had asked us, we would have said, yeah, Rudiger, Christensen, yeah, they can go. We don't really need them. Rudiger wasn't playing well in the back four. Christensen wasn't getting really much of a look in. And all of us were like, yeah, you know, we got Zuma. It's fine. And that's the point that Miz and Matisse brought up yesterday. And I thought, yeah, you know what? That's true. Because from Rudiger's perspective, yes, now it's all nice, but not that long ago. This time last year, just a year ago, it was all pear-shaped. It was all going left. And maybe in his mind, he's thinking, I don't want that to happen again. You know? So I can maybe see where the hesitancy is, where he's taking the club to a level where, look, I want 200k. You want me to stay? I will want that 200k. I feel like I've deserved it, and cool. But yeah, that hesitancy, now I can understand why it's there. So it depends where you look at it. And right now, I think the club, to be honest, should give him that 200k, or at least come to a compromise, 180, 190. Rudiger, I mean, you'll be all right with that, surely. Then again, if a Real Madrid were to come in, or another club that can afford that, his agent could easily be like, hey, look, if they're not going to give you 200k, go to Madrid, they'll give you 300, you know, and you'll be playing with, I don't know, Mbappe or Haaland or whoever they're going to get eventually. So it's just an unfortunate situation to seem the way it seems at the moment. But I hope he stays. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I do as well, because especially with the likes of Thiago Silva, he was always going to be a short-term option. I absolutely love him. Like, I really do hope that he stays at the club for at least another year. Azpi as well, his contract is expiring. I think he'll stay at least
You
another
want him
year.
to
I
stay
want Azpi to
100%.
retire at the club.
I've said that. Yeah, I've said that. He should. He should.
I think if there's anybody who does, it might be Azpi. I don't know. I thought like John Terry would as well. I guess it's like not as common these days, but like
We haven't
I
had anyone that's really retired. You know, when you look
I
at
know.
JT or Lampard, they all left. No one actually retired. Like, it would be nice to have a the way that Steven Gerrard or a Totti or, someone just ends at the club where they really kind of started. That would be
I
cool.
don't want Azpi to ever end, but I know that that's not realistic. But we have to take that into consideration as well. Like Thiago Silva is not able to play all of these games. Azpilicueta is not able to play all of these games either. We just sold Kurt Zuma. Obviously, you have the likes of Trevor Chalobah, who is like so strong, but he's still young. Malang Sarr as well. He is obviously very talented, but he is still so young and like is prone to make a mistake that a Rudiger or Thiago Silva wouldn't make. And it's to be expected, of course. But I think it's really important to kind of nail down these contracts. Something that's interesting that one of our viewers brought up is would you be okay with letting Rudiger go and you revert to a back four maybe and you buy a defender that can play in a back four?
This is a good question because I don't think Tuchel will go to a back four anytime soon. I know at times during games there will be like hybrids or there will be moments and portions of matches where we shift to a back four temporarily and then go back to a back three because you can play in those sort of patterns during a game. But I don't think he'll go, all right, we are playing in a back four. I don't think he'll do that. And to be honest, why change something that's working? Why try and fix something that's not broken? So, to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, if you're going to let go of Rudiger, it would be wise to keep the back three because you kind of need that protection. If we were to go to a back four and let Rudiger go, depends who we bring in or who we try and promote or whoever. But you kind of have the risk of leaving yourself exposed. At least in the back three, it feels a little bit more stable. So I don't think Tuchel will shift. I don't think so, regardless if Rudiger stays or not.
Yeah, I think another point to take into consideration is that usually like these formations take quite a bit of time to drill and to get the players used to playing in that position. And we always see that it takes a bit of time. And this is usually things that they work on during preseason, for example, but especially with the amount of games that Chelsea have this season, next season with the World Cup as well, which I do want to get your thoughts on that in a bit. It's going to be absolutely mad. But Eunice, just like a couple of words, is Rudiger going to leave Chelsea at the end of the season?
It's hard. I can't even say it's hard. Because look, technically we've got about 6 weeks to tie him down. If we don't tie him down in 6 weeks, he'll be free to talk to other clubs. So anything can happen. I'd like to think he stays. I'd like to think so. I think eventually, even if it got to the last couple of days before he's legally allowed to start talking to other clubs, I think Chelsea will come to some sort of an agreement. Surely.
Yeah, and something that kind of just came into my mind was like that like kind of press leak almost that Chelsea were going to sign. I don't remember the player. That was like a young player for 20 mil or something like that. And somebody made the points that usually Chelsea's business doesn't get leaked. So maybe that could have even been like a tactic to try to get the likes of Rudiger or Christensen to sign the contract. I have no idea, but
these things happen. Smoke screens and all sorts, they happen. I mean, with Chelsea, it's quite rare. I feel like Chelsea do their business correctly, but you never know. You
never know. So kind of moving on to Christensen, I was under the impression that this was all done and dusted. And then there were reports coming up that there's like some discrepancy, not necessarily between the player, but maybe from his team. What do you think about this? Give us some more info because I haven't seen so much about it.
Yeah, so basically we all thought it was done. I thought it was done. Even apparently the club thought it was done, apparently. And then Christensen came up with the update a couple of days ago, him personally saying doesn't understand why people see all of this as something bad's happening. Because he's happy, the coach is happy, the team are happy, the club's happy, everyone's happy. And yeah, it looks like an agreement's there. But the news that came out was that someone from the players' end, the issue isn't from the club, it's the players' end. When I hear that, I think agent.
Yep.
That's the only. So we've got Christensen that's come out publicly and said, "No, I'm happy. Everything's cool. Why are we stressing?" And the club are clearly happy, but there's no agreement yet. Even though the club thought it was done, that tells me there's a middleman, and the middleman has to be the agent. I think the theory that could be on the table is the Rudiger situation, and the agent might be looking at that and going, "Hey, Christensen, before you even commit, pause a little bit, see how this Rudiger situation is going before, because if he's going to try and bump up to 200k or whatnot, maybe you can up it a little bit too." There's maybe some sort of business tactic going on behind the scenes here, and I think it's the agent. If not, I think this deal would have been done maybe weeks ago. So that's again, that's my theory. That's my theory.
Like, could you imagine having so much money? It's like, yeah, no, like 100k. No, 150, not enough.
No, not enough. That's still borderline poverty. No, not happening.
Like, I literally could not fathom having that problem. But yeah. Really, really interesting. I do think that Christensen is going to stay at Chelsea. Like, I would be absolutely shocked if something happens in that department as well. I think Azpi is going to sign an extension. Thiago Silva might. I mean, really 50-50, but I think he's really happy in London.
I think he will too. Yeah, I think he will. Unless if he wants to go back to Brazil or something. But his career is going to end soon. So you might as well finish at the highest level, getting paid well. Thomas Tuchel, close with, yeah, he'll stay. He'll stay. One more year.
I don't want his career to end. He's just so brilliant. He's such a brilliant player.
Imagine if we had him younger. Imagine if we had him at 29. That would have been crazy.
Yeah. I always think about this, like him and John Terry. Could you imagine? But there have been some other rumors. I saw one today. Ziyech to Dortmund, potentially. Yeah. I don't know where that's come from. Apparently rumored that Ziyech isn't happy at Chelsea. Obviously, I don't know how much substance there are to these reports.
Dortmund like us, don't they? They're sniffing around us all the time.
I know. To be fair, there is a relationship there with Christian Pulisic, of course. I mean, but the thing that I think about is, like, I feel that Ziyech was a very Lampard signing. That I thought that he played well in the formation and the system that Lampard implemented. But in Thomas Tuchel's system, we don't really see much of him. He's kind of at the bottom of the pecking order. And when he has played, I haven't been overly impressed, to be honest. I feel that I feel like he could affect games so much more than he has. I feel like he's such a brilliant player, but it just hasn't like calibrated. And obviously that's so difficult to do when you're not playing consistently week in, week out, to just come on the pitch and have chemistry with the players. And it's always probably going to be different players as well. It's not usually the same set of 3 or 4 attackers or whatever. So I kind of can understand his struggles. And I can understand why he would want a move away from Chelsea. What about you?
Yeah, me too. It's unfortunate with Ziyech. But the thing is, if we were to let him go, I think there has to be a 1-in, 1-out policy, which I think Chelsea will do. If we were to let go of him, who replaces him? You know, it'd be, I think, crucial to have someone, if not keep him at least up until the end of the season. And then in the summer, we can actually try and see what happens. But the way that it's going for him, yeah, it's not been good. I feel like he had this opportunity now. You know, whilst Lukaku and Werner were out, Pulisic was out. That was the window of opportunity. And I don't feel like he's taken it. Yeah, he scored one against Malmo, fair play. But overall, it's not been good enough. It's not been good enough. And you could say the same for Kai Havertz. However, with Kai, we have time on his side. We have a big breathing space. We know he's going to be implemented. He can function in a couple of different roles. Ziyech is meant to be in his prime. This is meant to be his prime, and we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think we'll sell him in January, if I'm honest. Again, unless if there's a replacement in store, someone that we can bring in that will be worth the while in the squad. But if not, I think it's going to be the summer.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. And I feel like Conor Gallagher could come into the team in place of Ziyech. Personally, I know they're not the same player, but he's just been absolutely tearing it up. I think he's been Crystal Palace's player of the season so far. So I really
Top goal
want to
scorer as
see.
well.
Yeah, like absolutely mad. And I really want to see him play for Chelsea next season.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's at that level and he's been proving himself in the Premier League. And I think he's finally going to be ready. He's one of those players that I've been thinking about for a while. Like, I really want it to work out for him. And I think next season could be the season for Conor Gallagher. What about you?
I think he'll come back. Yeah, there's no way we send him on another loan. Not after this, because you want a loan deal to be the place where he develops, proves himself, and shows what he can do. And he's done that. And he's doing that. So up until the end of the season, we'll see how he finishes. I don't think he'll come back in January. We won't call it short. But in the summer, yeah, 100% he comes back in. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we get another member of Cobham Inc., as I like to call him.
Agents all over the Premier League and Europe just covered in Chelsea. Speaking about loans, Billy Gilmour, he's on loan to Norwich. He has not played under Daniel Farke. Obviously, Farke got sacked. And there's rumors that Lampard is going to come in and be the new Norwich manager, which I think could be an interesting move for him. But then it would be amazing for Billy because I think Billy would then start every single game. So what do you think about that? And then what do you think about Lampard to Norwich? Is that a good move for him professionally?
He might get the captain's armband. Like Lampard will be like, "Yo, Billy, here you go," and he'll be like, "Yes, nice one. Okay, I'm starting every game." No, yeah, he'll play every game. Under Lamb's 100%, he'll play every game. There's no way Lampard leaves Billy Gilmour on the side. He's worked with him before, so that will help. He knows how to use him. Or I hope he knows how to use him. If not, question mark on Lampard. But that will be good for Gilmour up until the end of the season, and then we can bring him back. You know, or see what we're going to do, because Gilmour's an interesting one when we look at a Jorginho. Jorginho eventually will have to move on. I think the player best suited to replace him is Billy Gilmour in terms of style, the attributes that Jorginho has that we use him for. The closest player that we have to that is Billy Gilmour. So Billy Gilmour with a bit of development in the time frame that we have up until Jorginho leaves, if he does, or I don't know, whenever he just stops playing, Billy Gilmour will be, I hope, next in line and ready to take his place. So the loan is important. He needs to play. So if Lampard's there, he'll play, and we get to see him week in, week out, which is what we sent him on loan for. The problem that he had at Chelsea was that he wasn't playing week in, week out, and he wasn't going to. It's too difficult. At Norwich, we expected him to be playing week in, week out. So Lampard going there will help him. Lampard to Norwich, I think, is a good thing for him. Lampard's done it, I think, and we all agree now, too quickly. Unlike Steven Gerrard, who's, I think, done it the right way. And Lampard kind of needs to go back to go forward, if you know. So going to Norwich, I think, would be perfect. I don't think there's much pressure because, yes, he's going to try and save them from relegation, but they're already in such a bad situation that if they get relegated, I don't think you can blame Lampard. You can't. So it gives him breathing space. I think with the lack of transfer funds, resources, he needs to work with what he has. So in terms of his man management, which is what let him down at Chelsea, that is going to be something he needs to fall back on and he needs to develop and work on. So as a manager, that should help him. And tactically, in order to try and get a losing team to start winning some games, he needs to find a solution. And at Chelsea, that was another problem. He couldn't find a solution. He had one way of playing. When it didn't work, all we resorted to was cross the ball into the box, go long and hope. So with Lamps now at Norwich that need to find a solution, he's got to get his brain switched on. So as a manager, I think his development, it ticks all the right boxes. And I'm looking forward to it. We get to see Gerrard versus Lampard. That's going to be another good thing. So
I know that's absolutely massive. So guys, obviously Steven Gerrard just signed as the Aston Villa manager, and he's been doing really well at Rangers. And I mean, the Premier League is just the freaking league to be in. I can't believe it. It's like Pep, Klopp, Tuchel, Antonio Conte. Now you have Lampard versus Gerrard as well. Like all of the Chelsea, Liverpool fans are just going to be watching Norwich, Aston Villa like that. it's gonna be
Literally. If you had said that a year ago, everyone will be watching Norwich versus Aston Villa. They would have slapped you in the face. Like, no, get out of it. And it's true. Everyone's going to be watching Norwich versus Aston Villa. Yeah, unbelievable.
I know it really, really is. I'm so excited for this finally a run of games that we don't have international break. It's going to just be, 6 months
Flat
of
out.
football. Yeah, and that's something I want to ask you about because we have, there's been so much football. It's been a condensed season, then the Euros, then this season, then they
Yeah.
have a bit of a break, but then next season starts a week earlier because of the World Cup, which is being held right in the middle of the Premier League, La Liga, all the seasons. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I think the countries have 1 week to prepare, at least for the Premier League, 1 week to prepare, and then maybe a couple of days after the end of the competition.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the Premier League. Like, I feel like this is just a, like injuries waiting to happen. It's just so many games in such a short span of time.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's stupid. I mean, I get how they fitted it, and I get how they've managed to fit everything in. And with what they have, I think the Premier League, with what they have, they've done well. It's the only way to make it feasible. Start a little bit earlier, cut the season off a week before, I think, or a couple of days before that they have to go out to camp. And then there's a week up until the start of the World Cup. And then the World Cup finishes, the final ends, and I think 1 week later, the season resumes. So that's the only way you're fitting in. But this World Cup in winter, why? Why?
Why?
Why? And to be honest, if people are going to say, yeah, Qatar, it's because it's in Qatar, and in the summer it's like 50 degrees. Why are we hosting it in Qatar then? Why did they get the bid? You do a presentation to, publicize, to make the bid. Surely that should have been on the flipping, on the program of the presentation. By the way, in summer it's hot. Yeah, just to let you know. And there was the whole talk at the time that Qatar were going to make air-conditioned stadiums. So where's that then? Are we not bothering? I mean, look, the whole thing, I mean, to be honest, look, the Qatar bid is a whole thing. It's a whole separate story that we already know there was corruption and things involved. Blatter and Platini are going to jail because of it. So, or they're being punished because of it. So there's that. But the Premier League have fitted it in a way. The players are not machines. They're not machines. And I feel like, this was another thing with the way that the Super League, the way that UEFA restructuring the Champions League, adding 48 teams, adding more games. I mean, the whole thing is just making players perform like robots. There's going to be injuries. Now, the good thing about Chelsea is our squad's big. So we've got good depth. Tuchel, I think, will be able to rotate. Man City with Guardiola, he likes to rotate anyway. So I think, to be honest, if you're looking at two teams that will be okay, it's probably us two, just about, even though I think we will get injuries. We will, because we've got internationals all over the place. So, yeah we'll see what happens. But it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, it's really sad to think about that the players are just not getting the proper rest and like time to recharge and re-energize. And we've even seen this burnt out like this season. Mason Mount has said he was really tired from playing almost every game for Chelsea, every game in the Euros. You come back, you have to train, you start again. And we've been seeing more injuries. Kovacic is injured, Werner's injured, Lukaku's injured. So, they are getting injured and they aren't having enough time to rest. So I really hope that something is sorted because they, their welfare is super important as well. I do want to ask you about Lukaku for a few minutes. How have you rated him so far this season for Chelsea?
I think he's been good. I've got no complaints with Lukaku. And I know some people are going to say he hasn't scored enough. We already established this before he got injured. And the fact that he wasn't getting the correct service, you could see during games he was making the right runs. He was pointing to where he wants the ball. He was getting in around defenders. He was bullying defenders. he started off very well in terms of getting a few goals. Then after that, wasn't just a case of Lukaku. It was that front line and getting the ball to that front line correctly, which we just weren't doing. So I'm looking forward to when he comes back, because he's going to have Pulisic this time, and they haven't played together yet. So I think that would be a key for us. That would be a key. You'll have creativity, someone that can dribble, and someone that can create space. Hopefully, then release a Lukaku. Werner will be back. That should ease some of the pressure. Hopefully, we get something going with those three. And yeah, we'll wait and see. But Lukaku for me has been good. He will score goals. He will score goals. And when he gets firing, there's no stopping him. So,
yeah. I think it's just a matter also of Chelsea being able to kind of like adapt to their playing style to kind of benefit Lukaku a little bit more, because we were kind of so used to playing, like, even Kai does occupy that space as a 9, but it's like not the same type of player at all. No. And so the buildup is different. Lukaku isn't going to press as much. And I feel that we kind of just have to figure out how to get space open for him, because he has been man marked out of the past couple of games that he had played. He had 3 or 4 players around him. He couldn't get the ball. He's trying his best to hold it up. But I felt that there was also like these massive gaps on the pitch, and that there just weren't enough people like in the midfield necessarily pressing in order to free up that space for Lukaku. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, Chelsea have so many attackers, you know, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, Christian Pulisic, Callum. Did I say Werner? I don't remember. Lukaku.
Yeah.
Like, so
you could even throw Mason Mount in there. Technically, he goes forward. Yeah.
Yeah, Mason as well. So, you know, I don't necessarily feel that Kai has been playing that well this season. I think he still has a lot in the tank, and I'm thinking that he might have been the biggest, like the most affected by Lukaku's arrival, because that was basically the position that he was playing in. He was playing as Chelsea's kind of like 9 last season, and now he kind of has to figure out where to play with Lukaku and how to do that. But when Lukaku's back, who do you see kind of, like, if you had to pick a front 3 that starts with him, who would it be? Because Callum has also been playing well. But like you said, we have the likes of Christian Pulisic, Timo Werner, who are very special players as well.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because even a Callum Hudson-Odoi has been doing well, you know. So trying to fit everyone in is going to be difficult. And if we're playing with just a front 3, who's going to be tucked in behind? If we're playing with a double pivot, some extra man taken, it's not easy. So I personally think I think we'll evolve something around Lukaku, Werner and Pulisic. I feel like those 3, there'll be something going on with those 3. But if it's those 3 playing, I don't think you can have, for example, Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount on the pitch with them at the same time. Havertz, certainly not. Ziyech, definitely not. You know, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's difficult. I think we'll see a lot of rotation. I think, you know, whether it's Lukaku up top by himself, Pulisic on one side, Hudson-Odoi or whoever, I don't know, Havertz or whoever, or if Lukaku's up top with a Werner, with a Kai Havertz, that's another way. But then you're going to have a Pulisic probably in behind in the middle, not really on a wing if we're playing 2 up top, because we have wing backs. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult.
It's a logistical nightmare. And
yeah, Tuchel's got a problem.
I don't envy him for having this problem. I definitely would not want to be the one who is making these decisions.
No.
So, yeah, you know, to kind of wrap things up, where do you see Chelsea finishing in the Premier League this season? I love the confidence. I love it. You know me, that I'm more like nervous. I'm like, I don't know, maybe first or second. Like, I really hope that we get first, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But you definitely think we're winning it this year.
I think we'll win the league. I think we'll go all the way. We've hit, like, when it seems like when we hit a little roadblock, like the Burnley game, for example, we didn't lose it, you know, but that should be a wake-up call. And historically, funny, I bring up the Burnley result. Historically, every time we've drawn 1-1 to Burnley, we've won the league. Just saying.
Why does that happen?
So, also another thing, every time West Ham beat Liverpool by 3 goals at home, Chelsea win the league too. So yeah, there's that. Look,
Like,
I think with maybe Dubois is on a mission. I don't know, but with with Chelsea, the squad depth is good enough, manager's good enough, the players are good enough. It's just about consistency. I think Liverpool will be affected with the AFCON. That's probably where they might drop more points. We'll see how they manage, even though they do have a squad to manage. But without Salah and Mane,
Mendy has been saving us. Like, he's massively been outperforming his expected saves. Like,
exactly.
So that's a little worry for me.
With Kepa though, under Tuchel, he's been a lot better. And that gives me confidence. That gives me a sense of belief that our defense is good enough, and if we can call upon Kepa, we can rely on him. Yes, Mendy saved us so many times, but that's where we need to get our check in order up front and get those goals. And with Lukaku and Werner back, hopefully we'll be able to do that. Pulisic back, so I think we'll be able to manage it through. Man City have been good, quite good, but a bit underwhelming at times. And there's been times where it just looks like something happened. Yeah.
I feel like they could always just like go on like a random 20 win streak, like last season I didn't feel that they were playing well and then they ended up killing it. So it's just
That's
so unpredictable.
They can still get results, but as you said, they're unpredictable. That loss against Palace, for example, what was that about?
Oh yeah.
So it's this season's going to be tough. There's going to be up and downs. You saw us drop points. Man City dropped points before that. Liverpool dropped points to Liverpool. I think it's going to probably go to the final day. But look, I think we'll win the league.
I hope that we can wrap it up before the final day. Like my heart.
I hope so.
I really cannot take that pressure, honestly. But Yunus, time has absolutely flown. I could keep talking. I feel like there's still so much to talk about, but I feel like we've covered a lot in 30 minutes. I do want to try to keep this more or less digestible for the viewers so that they can kind of pop this on whenever, and hopefully it's not too intimidating to see. But absolutely love having you on as always. In case somebody doesn't know where to find you, let them know where they can find you.
Right here. Yunus Talks Football. And yeah, international break, so content is quite varied at the moment, seeing what else is popping. I've given my views on the whole Gerrard thing, and Lampard to Norwich, every other thing that pops up, and the contract situations. So any news that happens, I'll give my view. And yeah, we look forward to when Chelsea come back and football returns, because the internationals have started now. So yeah, we'll wait for England to play Albania.
I was actually so upset because I was hyping myself up for the USA game because they're playing Mexico for the World Cup qualifiers, and there's a massive rivalry there. And I was like, okay, it's at 3 p.m. Maybe I can even do my first live, like watch along, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I see Chelsea and the USA post like, who's excited for the US to play on Friday night? And I was like, what? Friday? What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh my God, the game is at 3 a.m. my time, and not 3 p.m.
So they're kicking off at like 9 p.m. US time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was just like, so bummed. So incredibly bummed. Sorry, I'm not waking up at 3 to watch the game. That's just too mad. But yeah, I will watch the highlights somewhere. But yeah, Yunus, thanks as always for coming on my channel. It's always such a pleasure. Birthday twin. And yeah, guys, make sure to subscribe to Yunus. Subscribe to my channel as well, please. It would mean a lot. Thanks. And yeah, until next time, I'm out.